Patch, written by Selena McCroskey, illustrated by Lynn Mohney. A ray of sunlight broke through the glass window pane into the sewing room of a small country house. The sunlight slowly crawled across the wooden floor and rested on a worn wicker basket. There were many needles, thimbles, tape measures, and a variety of scraps that lived within the basket. Each scrap was beautiful. However, there was one very special, very lonely scrap named Patch. Having been cut away from the rest of his yellow and green material, Patch had no friends. He tried to be friendly to the other scraps, but they ignored him. Nobody seemed to notice Patch. One day, as he was sitting in the sunlight, feeling lonely and sorry for himself, he decided to find a place where he would be loved. So Patch jumped from the basket and bid farewell to the tiny thimble and a rather mean pincushion. Full of hope and excitement, Patch ventured out across the sewing room floor. After a while, Patch came upon a beautiful red and blue checkered quilt draped over an old rocking chair. He noticed there was room for another piece of material, and so he quietly climbed up the chair and joined the quilt. "Who are you?" a very distinguished piece of blue material asked. "I'm Patch," he replied happily. "Oh my goodness," complained a soft-spoken red square. "Those colors are simply awful." "Why don't you just go away?" challenged a young blue square. "You don't fit in here." Heartbroken, Patch quickly slipped down from the chair and ran away. He looked back at the beautiful quilt and once again felt very lonely and very sad. After walking a little while longer, Patch approached a large, unfinished yellow and green quilt lying on the floor. Patch was so happy he ran over to the newfound quilt and jumped onto the center square. "What do you think you are doing?" screeched a yellow and white square. An old piece of green material cleared his throat. "Yes, and who do you think you are jumping on us like that?" Patch took a deep breath. "I thought I could be part of your quilt, sir. See, I have the same colors." Patch proudly stuck out his chest and displayed his colors. "Oh dear," sighed the corner square, "you do have the same colors, but you don't match our pattern. You see, we're all going to become part of a wonderful garden scene. Your pattern just doesn't fit. I'm afraid you would mess everything up." Patch didn't want to hear any more. As a single tear ran down his seam, Patch walked away slowly, feeling very, very lonely and very, very sad. Full of disappointment and giving up all hope, he decided to return to the worn sewing basket he knew so well. Patch softly nudged a button along the floor with his foot as he made his way back across the sewing room. After a short distance, Patch neared a quilt resting on a footstool. Not wanting to be rejected again, he kept walking. "Hey!" called a red and purple striped piece of material. "Hey!" Patch kept walking. "Oh my, is he leaving?" the pink polka-dotted piece questioned. A plain white square yelled, "Wait! Please! Stop!" Patch slowly turned around. To his surprise, he saw a quilt from many different kinds of scraps. There were red and orange squares, yellow striped squares, and pieces with green zigzags. There were solid blue squares and even squares made of indigo and violet triangles. A stately solid black square asked, "What is your name?" "Patch," Patch quietly replied. A small gold piece asked shyly, "Won't you come join us? Your colors are very pretty." "Yes," replied a broad green and brown square. "You would make our quilt far more colorful. Won't you be a part of us?" Clearly shocked, Patch answered, "Really? Do you mean it?" "Of course, yes," many of the Patches replied. Patch was so happy that he ran right over to the quilt and fit himself into the random design. The squares greeted him and introduced themselves with hugs and handshakes. Never before had he felt such care and compassion. He was completely accepted and unconditionally loved. Throughout Patch's life, he made many friends, and his colors shone brilliantly within the unique beauty of his patchwork quilt.